That's right, it's the radio show. It's the morning show. It's Up Cool. Come to you live. It's Up Cool TV. Hey, we'll get started first thing this morning. I got a bunch of questions downloaded, so we'll be right back and answer these questions. Hopefully the show's going to get tighter and tighter. Appreciate everybody stopping by. Let's get right into the comments from yesterday, our morning show, number 6. So one of the first things is somebody commented, "Well, that's not a big bong," from my travel bong. Duh, I know that. It's smoked out of a 6-foot bong. I'm 50 years old and can't use those big bongs you kids use anymore. I mean, I have a pipe somebody gave me, I'll show you guys later on. It's so big I can't even use the daggone thing. So, you know, but for me, that bong is a big bong. We use a little teeny bong and I use a little pipe. So that's that. Somebody wanted to know, and they were real careful about asking because I went off on the guy asking the Super Soul question yesterday. I apologize about that. You guys got to take my rants with a grain of salt. I'm not that serious about it when I'm raising my voice and flaming off. I mean, I'm always in a good mood. Never really am. But this guy wanted to know, he said, "I hope it's not a stupid question. Can I make a half a batch of Super Soul using only 4 bags of roots?" Absolutely. You know, you can cut this recipe down. Not everybody can mix up the same amount that I can. Some people work in smaller conditions. So absolutely, you just pull a calculator out and reduce the recipe and it works no problems. Compared to Rev's Mix, I've never used Rev's Mix. I like the Reverend very much. I like his writings. I've read a good bit of his articles in Skunk. We seem to kind of do things a lot the same way. But he's perfected his method, and you know, Super Soul works for me and my genetics. So there's that. Question for Sub. I have the same experiment going with Pre-98 Bubba. I was looking to BX to get a Bubba down the seed variety also. He's using the Plushberry. I chose Plushberry because of it being more Kush variety, as is closer to Bubba. Now after watching the video, I'm thinking I should have chose something completely different. Separate the males easier. How can you ID males when they're from similar genetic backgrounds? It is really difficult to do, and that's why, you know, it's best to outcross to something that's completely different, so you can use markers to find it. You know, we use the cherry of the Space Cleaner. You can use the lemon of Jack's Cleaner, or even Jack Hare. You know, personally, I think you can get a lot of variation in Bubba Kush times Plushberry, because Plushberry's genetics are somewhat unknown. I mean, it's a black cherry soda that just kind of came to us. We like it, but we don't know its heritage. And so you're going to see a lot of variation there, but good luck with your project. Next, I want to comment on a rude comment that was put up that I did delete. I've seen this guy appear on my site before. I'm going to go ahead and call him a troll, but you know, he basically says that his rude comment was, "I don't even grow Plushberry." Well, yeah, I did grow Plushberry. I just don't keep it in my lineup. I have to keep all the mothers alive. I also don't grow Agent Orange right now, although I've grown it 4 times. I don't grow Jelly Bean right now, although I've grown it 8 times. You know, my job is taking care of the genetics that make the seeds. And what I grow for my own personal stash and my patients is entirely up to my choice. And I just don't have room. Gym regimen. Let me get the bone fired up. We'll come right back. Get some more music. We'll talk about it. If you couldn't tell, it's a Van Halen morning. Okay, for the gym, so I'm 50 years old. I've been working out all my life. I've been working out really seriously, dedicating to the gym in the last 2 years, mainly for health reasons. I like the way I look. I like the fact that people think I look young, and I plan to continue that. So basically my regimen in the gym is Monday morning is day one, and I do chest and triceps. I start off with decline bench, working my way up from 150 up to about 275, where I do one mass single rep. And then I'll work back down and do a bunch of, drop back down to about 175 and just rep it out and do sets of 15 to get my chest getting pumped up. Then I go over to flat bench, do the same thing. I do not lift nearly as much on flat bench as I do decline. So I work up to about 2 plates on each side. That's 225. I have a hard time with it. Get it a couple times. I move on to incline. I suck at incline, but I really try to focus on it. I try to get 4 sets in. I start with a half a plate or 25 on each side, plus the bar of 45. And I have to have a spot because pulling backwards seems to really tear my shoulder. That's why I'm not good at incline. But I try, get my 4 reps in, and I'm embarrassed to say, I'm only inclining about $150, without help. So, but you work at something, you get stronger. Then I switch over on day one to, switch over to dumbbells, flat bench dumbbells. I do 70, 12 times, 80, 8 times, 85, 6 times. Then I drop back down to the 60-pound dumbbell where I do it 20 times. Then I drop right to the 50s and I go into my flies. So I finish those off, and that's usually good for my chest. I switch over to triceps, and I jump right into triceps with dips. I do 4 sets of dips. A set for me on dips is about 15. Do them really slow up and down. Get your tris working, try to keep your shoulders out of it. And then I just do a variation of tricep exercises. So day 2 is back and biceps. So I do, my back exercises are stiff-legged deadlift, wide grip pull downs, wide grip chin-ups, single arm, what we call lawnmower pulls with heavy weight, like 70, 80 pounds. I use wrist straps for my hands are real weak. Once I do back, I'll just rock over to bicep. My favorite bicep exercise is the preacher bench. Wednesday I take off today, that's why I get in the show a little earlier. I'd like to go work out on Wednesday, but I'm just too damn sore from everything else. My core is sore from all the abs I do. On day 1 and 2, when I finish doing the major body parts, I also do ab workout. I work my stomach, multiple exercises. And then I go do cardio for 20 minutes, and then I swim 10 lengths of the pool, not laps, just lengths. And then that's a workout for me. So Thursday, I kick back in. I go do shoulders. I have really, like a lot of guys, piss-ass shoulders. So work those, do my shrugs. And then Friday morning I go back in and I do legs. Now I do not hit my legs very hard, and I am unproportionate. I'm pretty massive up top, but I don't have a lot of legs because squats suck and I got a bad knee. But I don't ignore them. I at least hit my legs every week. So with all the running and everything, at least they're hard. They're just not big. So that stuff cools workout. So I take protein shakes right after I work out. I try to eat good food. I like a lot of junk food, don't get me wrong. I'll slam a Harvey sandwich down in a heartbeat. But, that's usually followed up by chicken and rice. I try to get a good meal in every other bad meal. Basically, if we go out and we have pizza one night, the next day I'm eating chicken salad with brown rice and Dave's Killer Bread. Dave's Killer Bread's where it's at. So that's it on health, nutrition, and fitness and the workout. Okay, so down the questions, we've had someone ask about Deep Purple and Dairy Queen flowering times. My strain guide that's on the website, and it has two layers. It has actually the list of all of them, and if you click on each strain, it'll take you to another subsection. We really put a lot of time and thought into these, and although there may be a mistake or two on them, we work really hard to get these things right. So when I list the flowering times on the strain guide, it's not an advertisement. I know everybody's used to just seeing this, these stupid generic terms like, we chose a hybrid male. Well, that ain't the way you do it, so if you did it like that, you did it wrong. we write our strain descriptions based on our experience with the strains and our testers' experience with the strains. We change data quite often, and you know, if you just look on the menu, it tells you the window for Dairy Queen, and it tells you the window for Deep Purple. And I really can't say any more on the individual strain, especially because I have a lot going on. And when I wrote, let's say, the Dairy Queen strain description and grow description, I was really into it. I mean, I was growing Dairy Queen. I had 4 people growing Dairy Queen around me. I had it growing indoors. I had it growing outdoors. And all that data went into Dairy Queen. That was a year ago, and I don't even know the flowering time for Dairy Queen right now. So I will always tell you guys to really read the strain guides. It's not an advertisement. The information in there is based on data, and that's how you can find out flowering times. Auto flowering strains. People always ask me about auto flowering strains, and you know, if you've watched me for even 2 seconds, you know that I'm hard-headed, and I don't like auto flowering strains. I think it's a rush to get something finished, and I just don't think that's the way to grow dank. I think dank is grown by taking your time and starting with regular seeds, not feminized seeds, doing the selection process, growing the strain out. And I'll take it even further. You know, I've actually had I did an article called The Dank Mystery on Void. You know, we grew Void out and cloned it. We grew our Void out from seed, and it was good. And then we kept clones, and then when we grew the clones out, they were even better. So quick is not always good. You know, sometimes if you let a strain mature, the strain itself is genetic age, it'll even get better. So something that just auto flowers, you know, it's basically a ruderulus to start with, which is kind of native to up in the Russian area, some in Alaska. And these strains really are not worked by man, so they're not known for having high THC contents. And basically taking good dank and crossing it with ruderulus to make it auto flower, but you're, you know, making the strain less than it is. Now that's just my opinion, and I know a lot of people disagree with me on that. I know a lot of people make their truck on auto flower seeds, just like people make their truck on feminized seeds. When I say truck, I mean they're making bukus of money. You know, I'm not driven by profits. I like to believe that my goal here is to make a difference with my talent at pot breeding and teaching, and so I'm not out there to make tons of money. So when somebody says, hey, if you make fem seeds you make more money, or if you would make an autoflower strain you tear it up, it's just really not an incentive to me. So we want to focus on what we do best. And there are people out there that do autoflowers, and there are people out there crossing my strains to make autoflowers. So, you know, you guys have at it. Ceramic lighter question. I had a guy who doesn't understand. A Fedor is I'll have it soon, and I'll put it on video. It's just a little ceramic element that you plug in, and it gets really hot. I think 1400 degrees, and you can hold it above your bud or hash and vaporize it. But my plan is to stick that hot 1400 degree ceramic head right down on top of my bubble and fire it with no butane. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm worried about the you know, it's not going to burn it all completely because you don't have the flame going through it. So you guys will be here to check it out with me. Light theory. Somebody asked how to set up lights. So real quickly, this is my theory on lights, and it's pretty simple. You think of light and footprints. How big of a footprint a light and hood will shoot. So if you're using a 30-inch hood or even a 24-inch hood with a 1,000 watt high pressure sodium light, you should be able to shoot a 6-foot footprint with it. Meaning you should be able to cover 6 foot of space with that light. I generally use the footprint we're talking about, but keep the plants in a 5-foot square. So in my 6-foot wide room, the plants don't touch the walls, and I'm actually covering 5 by 5, but the light is coming down past the plants, bouncing off the reflective surface that we use. I use a Foiline generic, and it bounces back to the light. So that 1 foot is really important. So you know, see, use my head as the plant. The light shoots past my head and then bounces off the wall and comes back to these lowers. So 5 by 5 on 6 by 6 on a 1000. A 600 is a little bit smaller. People like to use 600s and say they use the same light as 1000, but in my experience they do not. I think they just use a little bit less. So 5x5 on a 600, 4x4 on a 400 watt light. You know, a 430 Sun Agro, you're only going to use a 4x4 footprint, and you're going to keep your plants confined to about 3 foot of area. So that's lighting theory, and it never changes. 4 1,000 watt hoods work really well in a 12x12 area. They just do. So I think sometimes people use too much light. I've been in rooms where you have, you know, the hoods are basically touching, and God, those guys get really amazing yields. But I've always been a believer, if you separated them into those 5 foot, 6 foot footprints that we just talked about, and you had another area, and you use those extra lights that you had in a too crowded room, you would get so many more flowers. JTR and pain discussion on tincture. We'll be right back with that. I'm going to take a break. I don't like to just keep rambling on without cutting up the close. And you know, the show's going to change a lot. You know, I actually had some stuff to say this morning real quick, so I figured I'd do the show real fast and get it up. As I run out of stuff to talk about, we'll do all kind of creative stuff, like maybe some grow schools online. Okay, we talked about Jack the Ripper MS pain. One of the comments he wanted to know about, he wanted to discuss pain, nerve pain, and JTR, because he says JTR keeps him up, and it's 22% THC. I think it would keep you up. But what I've found is if you take this strain and you make tincture with it, I prefer alcohol-free glycerin-based tincture. Simply soak bud in glycerin tincture, and it makes a product. I'll go grab some real quick. So this is actually tincture that I'm making right now, and it's just a jar full of black cherry soda and glycerin, which you buy from the health food store. And after you strain it through a set of bubble bags, you get glycerin tincture. It's sweet, it tastes good. If you make it with lemon pot, it tastes like lemons. If you make it with orange pot, it tastes like oranges. So the reason tincture is so important is that in the liver, the chemical THC delta 9 converts to delta 11, which is a strong pain reliever. Nice thing about tincture is titration. Titration means you can take 5 drops, makes the pain go away for 1 hour, and you know every hour you take 5 drops. If less works, then you take less. If more is needed, then you take more. You're not smoking it, so especially with older people who are really sick and they're frail, you can't be smoking weed and coughing, and it wouldn't be, you know, just be something they couldn't take. This is like taking really good tasting cough syrup, as long as you can stand the taste of cannabis. It tastes like cannabis candy. So tincture is the answer to inside pain, nerve pain, headaches. One thing really cool about glycerin tincture is that when you have a headache, all the blood's in your head's pounding, you take some pills, it goes to your stomach. It takes a long time to process. With glycerin, you can brush your teeth and put it in your mouth. It passes through your mucous membrane sublingually and makes your headache go away right away. So we've had some patients give us some really good feedback with tinctures. So there's the tincture discussion, and we'll be right back for we're talking about male selection. So I'll cue up some tunes and we'll finish the show off this morning with grow tip section, and we'll talk about how we go about selecting them. So I was out working yesterday. I picked these up. This is the new TGA logo for display case. And what we're going to do is we're going to burn it backwards. So I was showing it to you backwards. That's what it looks like. That's pretty freaking cool, huh? It's on a piece of clear acrylic. I like it. Okay, let's get through this male selection real quick. So when I select a male, I'm looking for, first and foremost, the very last male species to indicate, not species, the very last male in that grow pool to indicates sex, and here's why. In the wild, the first males that not only indicate sex but produce pollen will almost always be hemp dominant. In the wild, cannabis is hemp dominant, and I think if it's left alone by man for several thousand years, it will return to that state. The reason we have dank right now is because of man's intervention over the last 6,000 years in breeding selection, selecting for drug traits. In the wild, doesn't work that way, and left alone, plants will, you know, the hemp dominant male, bam, hits them. The next generation, more hemp dominant, bam, over and over and over and over again. So we want to get rid of the most vigorous males. I was referencing earlier, that's in a lot of people's descriptions and their advertisements. Talk about, we chose the most vigorous Northern Lights male. Well, we fucked up. So what you want to do is you want to grow your males out, and you want to find a non-mutated male that indicates last, because that plant's never going to make it in the wild. And this is where we coined our term recessive genetics. That's Toad dropping a ball down his bone. So recessive genetics basically come from the fact that left alone, cannabis tends to make hemp, and through man's intervention, it makes dank. So we're looking for drug traits, resin, smell, etc., etc. So that's the very first thing we're looking for. So the very first males that indicate sex, when you are looking for males, get tossed. No ifs, ands, or buts. You throw them away. This vigor thing has led to more hermaphrodite traits than anything that is done other than feminized seeds, because it's just the way it works. You know, hemp wants to self-pollinate itself. It's self-prolific. So it's a different plant. So that's what happens if you choose for vigor. The other thing we want to do when we're selecting for males is we want to actually use our senses, you know. A male plant definitely has a smell and an odor. Space Queen, male, the dude, he smells like cherries. If you put him in a room by himself with a light on him, and, you know, when he gets close to making pollen, he reeks, man. It smells like dank bud. So that trait is generally passed on. So what we can do is we can actually look at the plants, and we want a plant that's not taller than the rest and not vigorous, but is still a male. And then we want to start by doing a stem rub. We want to rub the stem and get that smell. Now all males are going to smell a little bit alike, but you will find them that stand out, and that's literally how we chose our Quercus male. It wasn't even that complicated. We just grew a bunch of males out, and we got them somewhat mature, making little balls. We liked the fact some of them had purple balls. That was nice, but that really wasn't what, you know, we chose from. And we would just smell them, and there were two males that smelled so grapey and so earthly and so soury dank. Smelled like some of that hard grape gum you can buy out of the penny machines, and with that sour to it. And those are the two that we kept for a little bit longer until we eventually selected one of those plants. And, you know, that's how Quercus was grown. We grew a bunch of the plants out. We looked at the females. We kind of found out what was in there. The males matched the females. And then we grew all the males out. We found the best tasting male. That indicated last. Okay, so we're not getting that first one out of the gate. And that's how you choose for a male every single time you do it. Males are very hard to find. And how do you prove a male? You prove a male by taking and growing out his progeny. Growing out the cross that you made with the female and the male. And that's why it's really helpful to use a known female plant, so that when you grow out the sibling cross, you as the breeder can look at it and say, okay, I know this plant, you know, I know this plant, I've worked with this plant before, and this is what this male did to it. These are the traits that it lended, and this is the difference that it has now. And a lot of times with these old clones, what we're getting out of it is high vigor. But I mean vigor in a different way. It just means that the strain grown from seed is a lot happier than grown from a 20-year-old clone. So hopefully you guys will find some of this information useful. I've got to do some work today. I'm going to practice the School of Dank on video. So you may see some of that come up on YouTube. You know, I got to do it with slideshows, so I don't know how the presentation will flow on video. But I think videoing and watching myself is the best way to get better. I've got to work on this thing. It's also why I am doing this radio show as well. I can't promise to do one every day, but I'll always keep them updated because everybody seems to really like them. I'd like to thank everybody for coming by and checking out the show, and hopefully you guys learned something. Keep the questions coming. Don't make them the same all the time. And you guys have a dank day. Subcool TV, Subcool Morning Show.